Thanks for staying with us. I'm sure you've seen this particular story, doing the rounds, and really we do not understand who currently is the chairperson of the Ingonyama Trust. There's been some confusion over whether or not Mr. Jerome Ngwenya was replaced by Inkosi Thanduyise Mzimela, or of course it's the other way around. So this has also raised some concerns around the stability of the trust itself. Let's now speak to Reverend Professor Musa Xulu, Indonsa Yesizwe think tank founder, who joins us live now. Babul, thank you so much for your time. What's going on here?
Well, it's a long, short story. Former Judge Jerome Ngwenya was appointed by His Majesty the King around the year 2000 to be his proxy. This is how it works. The Act says the actual chairperson of the trust is His Majesty the King. But then the Act in 1997 provided for an alternate, for the King to can be able to nominate somebody to stand for him as chairperson. So the King is outside in the shade, but he remains the trustee. So it's in the Act. So once that changing of the Act was done, His Majesty the late King then appointed former Judge Jerome Ngwenya as his nominee, who then became the chairperson of Ingonyama Trust since then until today. And he developed lots of very close relations with His Majesty the late King, and of course his Prime Minister Inkosi Thanduyise.
So
and then of course,
pardon me for coming in the Babulu. So where does the confusion then come in? Because we're also seeing statements from Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi is also talking about the fact that he's also not been appraised of developments here, and he's also seen some, basically heard of internal, memos that are doing the rounds here. So where does then the confusion come in?
The confusion started about 2 months ago when a certain Mr. Mnisi from Mpumalanga was appointed, then withdrawn. And then, of course, after that, then His Majesty decided to nominate Inkosi Thanduyise Mzimela to be his nominee, which is a proxy for him. And then, of course, then during the weekend, Amakosi, some traditional leaders, met late last week to say they were not happy with Inkosi Mzimela because he's inexperienced. That's what they said from their statement. And of course, it looked like they would have loved for Judge Jerome Ngwenya to continue. Then what happened after that was statements coming from the side of the traditional minister, which were not talking to the statements that were coming from the side of the King. So throughout, from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and even today, there's been that confusion that nobody knows who is the chairperson at the moment. And then you have the situation where inside Ingonyama Trust, the CEO seems to be at personal warfare or some kind of war between himself and Judge Jerome Ngwenya. So you have those confusions happening there, and then you have the confusion happening in the leadership structures of the kingdom. That has caused a lot of bit of unease. And we at Indonsa on Saturday released a statement, and we asked that His Majesty the King should meet. We asked that His Majesty the King can meet with Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi so they can iron out their differences instead of sending out messages that are conflicting to the public, because it's very easy to stir up trouble as an unintended consequence.
But these mixed, statements, as you say, have also, caused some to view this through the eye of possible instability and really raise some serious concerns. As really, you are saying that they must sit at the table, but it does look like, though, concerns have started mounting.
Concerns have started mounting. I can tell you now that Ingonyama Trust is not functional. For the past good number of months, many business people come to us and they say, look, our lease agreements have not been renewed, so we're operating now unofficially and illegally. We have been trying to contact the office and nobody is answering back. And when last week I then said to myself, because you have also to assist the public, spoke to Judge Ngwenya. He said, no, there are problems that have got to do with staff cables and so on, but there's generally this thing of wanting to drag to be on a go slow because of the uncertainty.
So if it's pardon me, Babulu, so as you say it's dysfunctional, is it to the doing of Judge Jerome Ngwenya, or are there deeper issues here? Because we've also seen issues around the, allegations that money would have been siphoned off, millions of rands would have been siphoned off here. Of course, these are allegations. So these are some of the things that are playing out in the public domain when it comes to the trust.
Yes, there are three major role players here. It's His Majesty the King, who, according to the Act, should be the chairperson of the trust. And then it's the Premier of the province, who has an interest as when the board is constituted. And then you have the Minister of Land Affairs, Mr. Otto Titiza. The issue with Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi is as far as the traditional leadership system of the Amazulu is concerned. But in terms of the Act, those are the three major players. What I think is not happening, and that's my analysis, and I've spoken to my colleagues in Indonsa, and many of them are seeing it in this way. The three legs are not talking one to the other. And then they just rush to can put whoever raises a hand that I can be a chairperson and so on, without looking at the possibility of unintended consequences that can take place there if you then just roll over things. The issue with money is complicated. It has not been explained what happened and how it happened.
Yeah.
But at another, if there was an efficient system of government, that would have been a first point of wanting to know what happened, and then looking at maybe getting investigation and so on and so on. Usually, when people are employed on a life term, you don't just say, I don't like so and so today, and then remove it. If they've done something wrong, you lodge an investigation into that and then have a case that you can. But I am insisting, and we are in Indonsa insisting, that we think that the solution is for His Majesty to take up his responsibility as chairperson of the trust. His Majesty the King of Royal Bafokeng has done the same, and look at the results in terms of development that have happened there. Because this is the platform, and possibly the only platform that His Majesty could have, the King of Zulu, could have in terms of being able to reach out to the rural communities and to use the platform to meet with traditional leaders from other parts of the country, and to use the platform to be able to meet with kings from Saudi Arabia and all those others that are busy knocking at his door. And at the moment, he does not have a platform on which to engage them.
So, pardon me for coming in there. We almost out of time, and this is a final question. If you're saying, Uguti, these three legs are not speaking to one another, and they should be, and there's now clear governance issues, someone who's watching tonight, and remember this debate has been raging on over time about why still have the Ingonyama Trust even to this day. Someone who's watching tonight and they're saying, if the three legs aren't speaking to one another, if there are some of these issues that are happening, if it's now looking like it's being rendered ineffective, essentially, why still have it?
Well, it's possible that some people have questions about the existence of Ingonyama Trust. That is a known fact throughout the country. That some people look at it as maybe a special Zulu dispensation linked to the apartheid and the end of apartheid in 1994. But now that is neither here nor there at the moment. The fact of the matter is that the institution is there and the Act is there. And it's a government institution run in terms of the PFMA.
Yes.
What needs to happen is the compliance with the law. And the law says it is His Majesty the King who is the chairperson of the trust. Gives him an alternative to can nominate somebody. But nominating somebody is not the first option. What we do then is to look at what kind of benefits would come from such an arrangement. Many people have been aspiring to be chairpersons of the Ingonyama Trust will fall away naturally. So the competitions of everybody who's looking for positions here and there will not happen anymore because the rightful person will be there on the throne. Some people say, okay, now then he started falling under Togo Titiza. Well, it's not, neither here nor there. The Zulu kingdom is a sub-national kingdom. All kingdoms in South Africa are sub-national kingdoms. There are only 3 kingdoms in Africa which are run actually where the king is the head of state. It's Morocco, Swaziland, and Lesotho. All the other kings are sub-national, meaning that they are bound to work with government within the systems of government and the legislation of government and all of that. So it's nothing really to worry about. It has to happen, in my view, and in view of many academics that we interact with, that will bring about stability, but also it will make the dream of the king, which I know very well, to conduct rural development to happen, because he will be hands-on in the same manner as His Majesty the King of Royal Bafokeng.
All right. Babtul, thank you so much for your time. I hope we do get to speak more about this particular issue because, as you say, the stability is important, and to ensure that, everyone involved here is able to speak to one another. But let me thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. That is Reverend Professor Musa Xulu, Indonsa Yesizwe think tank founder, talking about the issues surrounding Ingonyama Trust.